Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. Welcome to Open Office Hours. I'm Crystal Hinkle. I'm part of the team here at Syncro. I'll let the ladies introduce themselves.
Hey everybody, it's Tatiana. Welcome.
Hi everyone, I'm Brandy, part of the sales team here. Nice to see everyone.
Yes, yes. Excellent to see everyone. For those of you that are joining us for the first time, thank you and welcome to Open Office Hours. We absolutely love doing these. It's the highlight of the week, and it's kind of an open forum. We use the Q&A. So if you see us shifting our gaze, we're probably just looking at those questions on a different screen. So that's the best way for us to manage those questions as they come in. And really, any question is okay. It does not matter where you're at in your journey with Syncro. It can be a how-to question, or it can be a more in-depth, deep dive type of question. We're open. We will also be the first to tell you if we don't know the answer. That will happen. So if it is highly technical or something that we're not able to kind of navigate during this session, we might refer you to technical support. Just a heads up. Other than that, if you've joined us before, thank you so much for hanging out again. Again, we really enjoy doing these. So yeah, just use the Q&A. Any questions that you have. I don't think I'll necessarily deep dive this too far, but I did want to make a fun announcement. We did release, just as of yesterday, the ability to trial Bitdefender. And this is actually a really big deal in my opinion. So not only can you trial Bitdefender while you're in a Syncro trial, but you can trial it if you're already paying for Syncro as well. So and if you're brand new to Syncro, just a little bit of background. Before yesterday, to be able to set up a Bitdefender Gravity Zone account, you did have to be a payer. There was like a paywall that kind of blocked setting that up. And so we've taken that down by a lot of requests, and it just makes sense to be able to trial Bitdefender while you're testing other things. And I mean, I'll share my screen again. There's not a ton for me to show here. Let me get rid of this presentation here. There's not a ton to show, but you probably either saw this email or maybe saw it on Facebook, but you're going to the App Center just like you would normally do. There's no additional flow or anything, but you can provision a trial straight from the App Center within Syncro. It is a 30-day trial, just like the Syncro trial is, but again, you can do this even if you're a payer. A couple things that I like to mention, and if you do spin up a trial, you'll get emails kind of notifying you of this, but with this type of a trial, when it expires, it does set to like completely delete after 45 days. So there's like a little bit of a window there. You can upgrade to a paying account straight from within the Syncro console as well. But it is one of those things, like for Syncro, you can refresh your trial every once in a while if you haven't had enough time testing. Bitdefender is not one of those. There's not a refresh trial option. So if you do spin up a trial, I highly recommend throwing it on as many machines as you can, so that you can get a well-rounded trial. You can test all of the things that you want to do, and just I guess the other part of the ability to trial Gravity Zone, Gravity Zone has so many options. The amount of management that you can do is pretty incredible. So again, also just highlighting the fact that it makes a ton of sense to be able to trial this, just because there are different add-ons. The protection is pretty endless. So I thought it would be cool to share that with you. So if you haven't checked out Bitdefender, you can now, free, no pressure at all. You can just try it out. I haven't been looking at the Q&A. Is there any Bitdefender specific questions?
Yes, so there's one. Rafi is asking for Bitdefender's billing done through Syncro or Bitdefender. It is done through Syncro. In order to use the integration with Syncro, you have to purchase antivirus through Syncro. Otherwise, you would have to use scripting and lots of other things. So to take advantage of utilizing the integration within the platform, billing will be done through Syncro.
Yes, good question. And one of the things that we get a question that we get often is, what are the advantages really of having it integrated with Syncro? And not only is it nice to have all of your bills in one place, but the ease of use is pretty incredible. So I'll just show you really quickly, just super high level. Once you have Bitdefender integrated, any policy that you have, it's a one-click enable on a policy level. So you can head down to Bitdefender, enable this, and then it's going to install on anything that you have on that policy. Kind of a follow-up to, when you're trialing, you could have like a totally different policy that was for just like your trial or test agents. And then it's literally a flip of a switch across all endpoints. If you fall in love with Bitdefender and you're like, yes, this is the way to go, it doesn't require any addition, like doesn't require hardly any effort other than going into the policy and enabling it. So that is really the power behind that integration, aside from the fact that all your bills are in one place. Anything else Bitdefender related before I?
There's just one more. Manuel just says he wishes that it would be lower because he has better pricing direct, but.
Oh, got it. Okay. Yeah. And I think, it is tiered pricing. So if you're not sure of the pricing, if you have like 1 to 500 endpoints, it's $1.30 an endpoint. Now, just keeping in mind, that is the full Gravity Zone version. It does include DNS filtering, like in that $1.30. Above 500 endpoints to 1,000, you're at $1.10 per endpoint. Above 1,000, you're at $1 endpoint. And again, if you're going direct, that's awesome. And if you have full Gravity Zone, great. That's wonderful. You can use our powerful scripting engine and deploy it and kind of stick with what you've got going on. There's a lot of options there, but there is like a crazy amount of different Bitdefender versions. Like if you are a consumer and you go on their website, you'll see a lot of different versions. If, for example, you're coming from SolarWinds, that's a totally different Bitdefender. It's not Gravity Zone. It's pretty limited in comparison to the Gravity Zone that integration we have. So there's a lot of different versions. So I think it's probably also doing an audit of what you're, like the settings that you're needing and that kind of thing as well.
There's one more in here that I noticed. So Ryan is asking, there are some features that Bitdefender offers that aren't in the list on the policies. Are those still available through Syncro? So yes, and I actually just grabbed the KB on the add-ons and such. So our version does include the DNS and web filtering, but I'm going to add the add-ons KB in here for you guys so you can see those as well.
Yeah, that's a really good question, Ryan, because you'll see the Bitdefender modules here, but yes, that's not all of the different modules, and this does not include the add-ons. So really good question.
Okay, one more, sorry. Pete's asking, where do you manage the Bitdefender policies for each site, in Gravity Zone still or in Syncro?
Gravity Zone.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yep, great questions. All right. Obviously, if you think of anything Bitdefender related, feel free to throw it in the Q&A, but I can kind of hand it over and we can start processing some other questions.
Perfect. So I'm just grab this top one here. Manuel's asking, is there any way to run a ticket report per client in a given period with time per ticket listed and a total? So there is, and I'm just going to share my screen with you really quickly. And I'm in my reports. And I'm going to go to the customer detail report. And I like this one because it can be scheduled and you can send it to your customers on a regular basis. Let me just pull up Larry here and I'll just say month to date. This report is going to show the total time spent. What I like about this is, even if this was an all-you-can-eat customer and you're not charging them for time, it's still tracking time to show your value at the end of the month, which comes in handy when it's time to renegotiate those contracts you have with them. And then as we scroll down here, you're going to be able to see a full time log. And I apologize, there we go. So you're going to see the duration for all of your different tickets, your time tracking. You'll have a link directly back to the ticket. So you'll be able to see that. And then, of course, at the top, you'll see all of the different time spent right here. And I can schedule this. I can send it to them on a regular basis. I can make it available to them on their customer portal as well. And you can include some additional verbiage that you would like to send with them with that as well. Hopefully that helps.
Super helpful. Thank you, Brandy. I have another question here from Brianna. She says, hi, is there a way to have the tech notes to show up on an invoice PDF? So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and I'll show you what she's referring to. So a couple things here. If you didn't know this already, you can edit your PDF and email templates in the admin section. So if you go over to more, admin, PDF and email templates, there's a ton here to choose from, and we're going to be taking a look at the invoice template. I was trying to test and search for different tags to pull in tech notes in here, and it doesn't look like there's any available on this side. So the next step that I would recommend is actually heading over to your settings, go over to your tickets, ticket preferences, additional settings, and then in this section here, you have the capability to customize text for ticket timer charges and customize text for ticket charges. If you look at the KB here, it'll give you a full list of all the different available tags. And I also created an invoice just to kind of show you, and I'll zoom in on this because I can see that it looks pretty small from here. But this description here is being pulled in from, it's being carried over from these ticket tags that are available in here. So that is the route that I would recommend. Hopefully that helps. And then the other question I just wanted to grab here real quick too is from Lance. He says, is there a way to do a scheduled report with pending ticket charges report? It does not seem to show up in the list of reports under scheduled reports. I also tried adding to the favorites, it doesn't show. So what he's referring to here is if you go over to our reports section and you take a look at the pending ticket charges, I looked too, it doesn't look like there is, it doesn't look like there is a way to have this one running on a schedule. Most of our reports can be, but this one, it doesn't look like there is a way to do that. So I can definitely pass that along as a feature request. One suggestion that I did have for you though, is if you go over to any invoice that you're creating for a customer, again, this pending ticket charges report is going to show you for every customer available here. But if you wanted to see this on a customer per customer basis, whether you build a new invoice from scratch or you open any invoice for any of your customers, you will see the pending ticket charges section in here. So if you need to kind of review what hasn't been yet billed for, that might be helpful to you there as well. And we recently also did release a update to where if your techs are trying to close a ticket without charging time to the ticket, they can get kind of alerted about that and asked to verify before they resolve the ticket. So maybe that would help. Again, sounds like those are going to be the best options at this time.
Sweet. I'm going to skip to a question that just kind of relates to everything that you were just talking about. The question is there a way to have a summary of the labor in the invoice rather than having every time entry on the invoice? I believe that's a feature request. As of right now, it's going to be each time entry. There's not a way to kind of like merge those all together. So I believe that would be a feature request at this point. And then Paul, and I'm actually not aware of this, but I'm just going to read it out loud because maybe someone in the room is. Trying to take advantage of the ticket grouping function. Previously received warning that the function was limited or wouldn't provide accurate results if you have more than 100 tickets. Not seeing that warning. Is the grouping function reliable now? It's interesting because I have never seen that warning. As far as I know, it could have to do with an update that we're doing to merging tickets and the ability to maybe do that in mass. So that's been a huge feature request to be able to merge tickets in mass rather than, because right now you have to do like one at a time. So that update might have just happened based upon the update we're making to that functionality. And then the other one I was just going to grab while I'm unmuted. Richard wants to know, is there any branding available when installing Bitdefender, or does it show up at Bitdefender to the end user? If I remember correctly, don't quote me on this, I believe you just have the option to not have it in the system tray. Like you can, like if I install Bitdefender, I see the little B Bitdefender in the system tray area. I think there's like a checkbox to just remove that. I don't think you can necessarily rebrand it, but I don't know for sure. I know that you can get rid of the actual system tray. And my guess is if they still searched like processes and that kind of thing, they'd probably still see Bitdefender. All right, that's good for me.
Awesome, thank you. I do have a couple of feature requests. So Austin, yes, that was a feature request. Jacob's asking about a tighter integration with IT Glue. He would like contacts, addressee, etc., synced between both systems. I haven't heard anything about a more advanced integration with IT Glue, honestly, but if there are additional features that you guys are looking for, whether that be a feature request that we don't have at all, or if it's something that's already exists that you would like something added onto, please feel free to reach out to our support team, help@syncromsp.com, and let them know what it is that you would like to see and why and how it would help you. That would really be beneficial to the team. Same goes with you, Paul. He's asking, is it on the roadmap to allow images to be pasted into ticket notes? This would be a huge time saver. Right now, I'm only able to attach a separate file to the ticket. We, as well as others in this group, would love for you to submit that feature request because, again, the more, we've gotten that feature request. I don't know if it's on the roadmap, to be honest. I don't have an ETA on that, but please submit that as a feature request. We would really appreciate that. And then and just grab this other one while I'm unmuted. Manuel's asking, is there any way to create a ticket and change the date of the ticket? Sometimes we have clients ask us verbally and the text may document it the day after. We just want to document when it was actually opened or requested. So that is not, you can change the due date, but you're not able to change the date of or time of when it was requested or first submitted. That would be something where a use case would be really helpful too, just to say, you gave us a use case here, but that's a great example of a feature request with a use case there. Thank you.
Thank you, Brandy. A question here from Ryan. He says, is there a way to remove the $0 time entries from invoices to reduce clutter? So I'll share my screen and show you what he's referring to. So if you guys head over to your admin section, you have the ability here to choose whether you want to charge time on a ticket or not. That is what is going to make the charge appear on the actual invoice that's going to carry over from the ticket, and this is where you adjust that setting by default. So in the ticket settings, additional preferences, and then if you go here down to the bottom, you can say ticket timer, charge time by default. So again, as you guys are working your tickets or your techs are, anytime that they create time on a ticket, it's going to be automatically added, whether you have a $0 pricing override with the contract. So again, anytime I have that added to here, it's going to list it here. So I'll go ahead and add a second time entry in here, and I'll show you if I clear the charge. That is the only thing that is going to, even though I have 2 time entries in here, you will see that I only have one of them listed here in the actual charges, and mine is charging at a $0 override rate because I have a contract set for this specific customer, and he's on my all-you-can-eat type of model where he pays me X amount per month and I charge $0 per hour for labor. And again, this is a personal preference. If you don't want them to see the $0 charges when they get the invoice at the end of the month, you just want them to see that flat fee lump sum per month, I would just suggest to disable charging time by default. You can still pull reports in the, like for example, the customer detail report will still show the time being spent resolving those tickets, but for your customer, they'll get just a clean looking invoice with the single line item, instead of showing all of those charges at a $0 rate. So hopefully that helps.
Great, thank you. I just wanted to note, I'm not skipping this question, I just need some clarification. That the question is on invoices with contract overrides, the product details line says discounted as per contract. Is there a setting to change this? So I'm finding out, because I don't quite know and I don't want to say the wrong thing. Unless Brandy, do you know?
No, I was just going to say we might have different settings set up, and I'm willing to, like, I can test it on one of ours on the back end to see if that shows up, just to,
Cool. Yeah.
if it doesn't, then there obviously is a way, right?
Yes, exactly. And I think it's worth, with that said, I don't want to like skim over this question, because a lot of times this is something that does get not overlooked, but just the idea of the way that we use contracts can sometimes be different than maybe what you're used to. So it's worth just taking some time. Our queue isn't super full right now, so I'm just going to go to a contract. So what the question is it's in regards to override pricing. And so I just thought it would be worth just showing this. If you go to a contract, and again, this is very interesting, especially if you're coming from a different PSA, which most of you are or have in the past. Contracts in different platforms have different functionality. So within Syncro, one of the most powerful functions of the contract is override pricing. So if, like, for example, and this kind of had to do with Tatiana's adding pending ticket charges and things like that, and what's included and what's not. So, and it's totally up to preference there. But say you have this grandfathered customer that you've had for 15 years, and you said at that time that your labor forever is $30 an hour, and now you charge $80 an hour. Contract pricing is the way to just make sure that that overrides on the ticket, so that you're not having to manually select the right rate. So that's just one example. The other thing is that you can blocklist different products also. So if in that contract it says, I will never charge you for remote support, it's impossible to add it to a pending ticket charge or an invoice if you have that there. So that's just a couple of use cases. And so what the question is when, if anything is overridden with contract pricing and it shows up on an invoice, there's this little, like, basically it says discounted as per contract. So asking if we can adjust that. And so I think that's what Brandy's playing around with right now to see if we can do that. So that's just a little bit of a background on that question, and we'll see if we can't get you a clear answer on that. The other thing that I was going to grab here is there a way to run a reoccurring invoice manually? We discovered some pending ticket charges that had not been billed out. We created a reoccurring invoice, but would be nice to be able to run it manually as well, to have it capture all ticket charges on one invoice rather than waiting for it to run the next day. So if we go to a reoccurring invoice, so just in general, reoccurring invoices generate at 6 a.m. Your local time. And so if we go to a reoccurring invoice, and let's say it's probably, like in this scenario, it's already ran. What my understanding is if you say, like, let's run it today, and then update the schedule, is this where you do it? And it asks, so then it says run now. So this is the way you can manually run this reoccurring invoice. So hopefully that helps. Any news, Brandy, on that?
I tested it and mine says that as well. So I was going to look at any tags and things like that, but I did just test it. I put a product on there that I knew was discounted, and it did say discounted per contract. So it might be a support question. It might be a tag or something like that that could be shifted around, but
yeah, absolutely. Thanks for testing that. And I did post this, and if we have a technical support agent to help us while we're on here, I'll come back to it if I get a better answer.
perfect. Yeah, and Bob too is just asking about any news about a limited admin user account. I don't have a timeline on that right now, but it is on our agenda. So it's something we know is super important. A lot of you guys might have a bookkeeper, or someone who just makes appointments and kind of needs like a read-only or admin type of a license. So we definitely hear you. We know it's a priority for a lot of you, and it's something that's being discussed.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because that one, it's so like, if you think about it, that's one of those features that just kind of like a background of our company, we want to make a feature like perfect for everyone, and everyone needs something very different on this limited user. So it's like one of those things we're navigating, we're figuring out, but we hear you, like 100% hear you.
I have a quick update from Justin. He says for invoicing the ticket, to pull in kind of those details onto the invoice, he has a different way to approach that. So he says invoice ticket puts an additional page on that invoice that includes all the public tech notes as part of the invoice. It only appears if it's enabled and only if you generate the invoice directly from the ticket, FYI. So I might need a little bit of clarification. I was trying to find the setting that you're referring to, and I think I might be looking at the wrong thing. So I went over to my invoice settings, and I did find this setting here where it says do not include the ticket details on the invoice PDF. So I'm assuming this is what, Justin, you're referring to. So again, for the person who asked about how to include ticket details on the invoice PDF, I think if you have this unselected and saved, he says it only works if you create the invoice right from the ticket. So if you're on the ticket and you create the invoice right in here, it'll attach all the public ticket notes as a separate page there. So if you have, if you want to expand on that, Justin, let me know.
Awesome. Thank you, Tatiana. Manuel, Brandy, any new features coming up? I just got off the phone off a demo with one of you in here, and I told you, I was like, you're going to learn in open office hours. They always call me Spill the Beans Brandy, but not anymore. Okay. So Doug, I just got your email right before this call. He is asking, my techs are accustomed to a standard dashboard layout with customers on the left that they can drill down to, and basically, or basic alerts or functions on the right. Is there any way to display this? So we don't, I appreciated you sending me the screenshot too, just so that I can see what your view looks like and what your technicians are used to. We don't have, like, if I go into a customer's account, it's not going to show me that. What you could do is you could go to the Assets and RMM tab, and you could drill down by customer if you want to do that. And I have the option to coming in here, and I can just see all of Larry's devices, and then I'd get an overview and alerts here for each of those different devices, and I would be able to click into here. Now keep in mind, we're not MSP, so our devices are like our fake devices. We don't have a lot in here, a lot of data, but I am able to see, like, if there are any computers with alerts. I also get a full list of all of the big devices here, and you can customize what the headings are that you can see and things like that. But it's not going to be, you know, your customers on the left or your customer name on the left, and then on the right their alerts. So you would have to set up a search. You can come in here and you can search based on a customer, but just by going into the customer detail page, you wouldn't be able to see those alerts. It's more like tickets and devices and things like that. So I appreciate you sharing that, and I'm happy to pass that along to our team too. I think when you guys send us screenshots, you know, it's not that we're trying to see other platforms. It helps us understand what you're used to viewing and what is beneficial to you. So I really appreciate that, and I'm happy to pass that view along to our team as well. And then I also see our anonymous attendee is asking, we just went live from Syncro. Is there a way to schedule another one-on-one to answer some of the questions we had? Happy to pay for it. So we don't offer any type of paid onboarding. We do these weekly open office hours for you guys to get your questions answered and things like that. But because we're not MSPs, you probably don't want us reviewing your business with you and things like that. So we definitely recommend joining us for open office hours, since we don't have an official onboarding once you come on board with us, or like a monthly catch up and things like that. But the system's really intuitive. If you do have questions, you can email us at any point in time. Like Crystal said, we're not technician, or we're not technical support, but if it's how-tos and how do I do this and what about setting this up, email your account representative. It's one of us three, and we're happy to help you do that. But aside from that, open office hours, Tuesdays and Fridays, highly suggest doing that.
Absolutely. And I think another thing to note here too is our Facebook group is incredibly active. That's one more resource where you're directly asking another MSP, hey, how do I set this thing up? I'm considering doing it this way. The community is incredibly active. It's really cool to see. It's worth noting too, we are working on, I know there's a lot of people that, kind of offer these services to contract and things like that. So, we're looking into that as well, because there are definitely experts out there that use Syncro every single day and can tell you like far more than, like I've been working here over three and a half years, that people know more than I do, because they're, that's their livelihood. So definitely check out the Facebook group for sure.
Yeah, I just dropped that link in there too for you guys, because I know a lot of you, I recognize your names from posting in there too and helping others. And, some of you started out with Syncro by asking the questions, and now you're able to give the input. Tony, I see you always helping people out. So, it's just super appreciative. People are trying to make each other better. They're not holding back information from others. So I do see a lot of connections built that way.
Yeah, and I think it was pretty cute. I think it was last open office hours or the one previous to that. Someone said in the comments, they were saying something along the lines of, the reason we don't offer paid onboarding is because it is set up to be as intuitive as possible. And it was just really cool to hear that as a comment coming from you guys. I mean, we're in the software every day. We think it's easy to use, but obviously we've been here for a while, but it was nice to hear that from you guys as well.
Yes.
For sure. Awesome. Okay, I'm going to grab this top one. Brian wants to know customizing ticket number or invoice numbers. So the answer in this specific use case is kind of like a yes and no type of answer. So let me head over to the admin section, because you can do, like, I'm just going to do the invoice one, for example. There's a couple things to show, but if you go to Invoice and Preferences, you can see, like, you can start this at whatever number you want. I did find out you can put letters in here and it carries over, like that kind of thing. But the tags do not work here. So if you're wanting it to be like date and then a number, tags do not currently work in this section here. Not a bad feature request, if you ask me. Kind of a cool idea. It's not the first time that I've heard it. The other thing too is, and this isn't answering your specific question, but if you're in an actual invoice, or I believe with tickets as well, but if you're in an actual invoice, you can edit the invoice and actually change that number. So if one customer, for example, needs a specific type of number, you could come in here and manually change that. So just adding to that. I'll just grab this other one that I had grabbed. Any way to put Syncro into demo mode? We would like to train staff on the product and not make changes to the system as we are training and use cases. So really good question. In fact, I just saw this the other day come through, kind of like a sandbox version of Syncro. As far as I know, we don't have plans to do that at this point. I understand and can see the value in that. But as of right now, there's no way to put a paid or a production Syncro account into like a sandbox mode. Okay. Am I sharing?
You are.
Tools went away. I was like, where did my Zoom tools go?
It's easy to lose them. They kind of disappear, and then and then they get in your way, and you can't open the things that you need to open. So they just have a mind of their own for sure. Quick update from Justin. He says, Tatiana, yep, that's the correct checkbox. Once that's unchecked, if this template is attached to the invoice, so I'll share my screen. So again, if you guys want to show your customers a lot more ticket details, go ahead and uncheck that box that I showed you previously. And then if you head over to the Invoice Ticket Templates, it's going to attach as a separate page here. So I super appreciate that, Justin. He says, looking at that template confirms if you have the checkbox set correctly or not across the top of the screen. If you have that checkbox unchecked, then you'll see the template shows that the Invoice Tickets is currently enabled. So hopefully that helps the rest of you guys. Justin, I super appreciate you taking the time to kind of follow up on your response. I think that is awesome. And again, like Brandy and Crystal mentioned, there's a really cool kind of camaraderie both in the Facebook group, but I think just amongst just regular Syncro MSP users, that everybody's willing to help each other out, which is awesome to see. Question here from Brian. He says, ran into an issue where a user sent a contact form where they filled in the contact fields, but the email address they provided is not included in the ticket for email posts. So what he's referring to here, and I'll drop this KB into the chat box once I show you what we're talking about. I launched into a Syncro live session. I opened the system tray icon, and I'm showing you guys what the agent contact form looks like here. So he's saying they filled out. So here's a couple kind of general guidelines to know is if you have an asset and you have a contact attached to that asset, their contact information is going to pre-fill when that user tries to submit a ticket. If they go in here and they cleared this information out, and maybe it's someone else using their computer for that day or whatever it might be, I did follow up with the KB, and it says that it will not override the current contact information. It says, I believe it will be created as a private note so that you guys should know kind of who it was that actually submitted the ticket via the agent contact form. So if it's not attaching and that information is not included, please do reach out to our support team so that they can take a closer look for you, because that is what is anticipated there.
Awesome, thank you. Larissa is asking about the nav or the tab bar. Is that customizable per user? It's going to be a global setting for everyone in your organization. So just wanted to make sure I let you guys know that. And in case you're wondering, those tabs that we have across the training dashboard customers, those are customizable. So you can choose which 8 you want scrolled across the top. You don't have to have a long list on the more section like we do, completely up to you guys. And then also, Doug, I just got your email, you're taking care of. Go play around.
I love that. Brandy is like multitasker amazingness.
Goals.
In open office hours, and she's like, yeah, I just refreshed your trial. No big deal. We're good. Keep going. For this.
I just know he's in here and emailing me at the same time. So, you know, a couple of you are right now, actually.
Do not email me or try to talk to me while I'm doing this, because this is really all I can do at one time. No. Okay. I was going to grab this one from Jacob. On the bulk edits of tickets, I noticed there is an asterisk, which usually means all fields are required. Is this intentional? So I just went to see what you meant. So I'm going to share my screen and show everybody else. So like if you wanted to, I'm just going to say, let's do these 3, and I'm going to go to bulk actions. All of these have an asterisk, which usually means required. Now, I tested it. They're not required. I think it's basically like it's more like check out this note, because I don't know. The thing is that by leaving like tech blank, it's not going to undo text from tickets that are already there. If public comment is blank, it's not going to override and add a blank comment. I think that's what it's telling you, that if it's not filled out, it's not going to update. That's my understanding of it. So hopefully that helps.
Awesome. I'll grab this one from Justin. He says, for a customer who has a primary contact who tends to open tickets for multiple employees in the organization, is there any web-based ticket submission page we can give them so they can manually enter a contact's email address? So when the ticket is opened, it's associated with the correct employee, not the primary contact. So I'll share my screen and I will show you kind of the first thing that came to mind. If you haven't seen widget flows previously, I do recommend it. There's so many customization options in here that I feel like this is kind of untapped territory for people who are just starting out, because again, when we provide product tours, we're giving you kind of the lay of the land, a general overview, but there's certain things that, as I'm sure you guys have all noticed, the longer that you spend time with Syncro, you'll notice that there's a lot of really cool things you can customize to make them work exactly the way you want them for how you have your business set up. So if you go over to the App Center, under Integrations, Custom Widgets, I have that open in a new tab here. This is what I would recommend. I did a example of what this looks like, I think 2 or 3 open office hours ago, of how to use widget flows and how to attach a worksheet. One moment. How to attach a worksheet to a widget so that whoever creates, whichever one of your customers creates that ticket themselves is going to be able to have that worksheet automatically attached. So I'll open this in an actual demo here, and I'll show you what this looks like. But basically, when you're building a widget, you are building a set of steps that you want them to take in order to submit here. So again, if you can build, I only have these 3 steps available here, but you can build your own. I believe again here, if the person who is creating the ticket on behalf of someone else, you can just make sure that they enter that person's information, if that makes sense. And then most importantly, I would say just make sure you include this confirmation one, because in the settings in here, you can say auto create ticket, which is obviously the goal of having this available. And again, you can have this be a live link that you share internally. Maybe you want to put this live link into that system tray icon for this specific customer if they're the only ones that need to use it, or you can embed it on your website or whatever it might be. So hopefully that points you in the right direction there.
Awesome. Thank you, Tatiana. This next question it's a feature request, but I also want to show part of it because I think it's valuable and a lot of people don't know it's there. So Brian says we're using the asset labels to attach to assets, as I think they should be used. But I think the customer name is way larger than the asset name. I think the customer should know what's important for the customer to be able to see is the asset name. They know who they are, right? So when we ask them in these use cases over the phone, I want to just show something really quickly because I showed this the other day and someone had no idea. So it can be super beneficial. Yes, they could hover over their system tray icon and tell you the name of their asset, but maybe their computer's not on or it's not working. What you can do is if you open up any asset and you go to this, to the little picture here, the PDF, you're able to print an asset label. And you can, I understand what you get here. Like they know who they are, right, already, but then their asset name is super small right here. So I get that. We've gotten some requests about being able to customize this a little bit further and change what is shown here. So I will absolutely pass that along. I definitely see that use case there. But I just like to show this because you can print these off and put them on assets. And I think it's really, really beneficial.
Sweet. Okay, I'm going to grab this one. It's talking about tags. And so ticket date, does it have to include time of day? How does one exclude time from the invoice ticket template and just leave the date? So I just tested this. It's kind of interesting, actually. I didn't realize this, but I'm going to go into a ticket. So I put a ton of different tags in here, and this is, this is like going to be a double answer, but I'm going to start with this one. So this date here doesn't include the time, and then this date here does include the time. So I'll show you now. I'll back out of it and show you what I did in those. I'm going to show you what I did in the admin settings. So if I go to tickets and preferences and I go to additional settings and I hop down here and add timer tags. So what I think is interesting is that the ticket timer date does not include the time. Now the date does. So I don't know if this will help in your use case if you can just use the ticket timer date instead of the ticket date, because it does. One shows the time and one does not. So hopefully that will help. And then the other thing I was going to show you is that this actually, I just found out you have to manually go in here and delete it. It would be a feature request. You'd have to actually delete it. And now that I'm looking at it, I think that I think this is the labor line item that Brandy was testing. This is the one that I was just testing, huh? So let me look. So tech demo engineer date September. Okay, good. Yes. So I
put that one in there.
Okay. Good. So yeah, I just want to make sure the tag thing that I was talking about was accurate, and it is. So ticket timer date does not include the actual time of day, and the ticket date does. So just playing around with those tags. And it's worth noting here too, if you click here, and I think Tatiana showed this, but you can see a list of all of the different tags here in this, here. So you could play around, like you could do a test ticket, and literally I've done this where I've added every single tag just to see what each of them does, because they're not always like 100% clear on what will actually show up for the customer. So I would recommend checking that out.
Is there a difference if you put the tag in the ticket comment section in the ticket settings instead of the ticket timer settings for both of those tags? That might be another thing to test as well.
So this is the one that includes that. Let's just do like a public note and that. So that includes that. So then the other one was ticket timer date, right? Right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
What was it? Ticket. Oh, wait. Ticket timer date. Isn't that what I said? Did I type it wrong?
You said ticket timer date.
Oh, because it's not attached. It's got to be attached to the actual, like a labor. This must be a labor, a ticket timer tag, not a ticket tag.
Yeah, that one has to be from the timer. You have to log the time from the timer.
Yep. Gotta love live demos, folks. Thanks for bearing with me on that one.
It's great. And Justin also made a comment. I posted it. I think you guys can see the Q&A, but I posted it so it's there for you. It's just more, I love it. Justin, this is great because, you know, and especially some of you used to come and ask a lot of questions, and now you're giving a lot of input. And some people truly do come to this just to give input to others. And it's really, really helpful because you are the ones who use this all day, every day. So that's awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, thank you, Justin.
Steven, I'm sure Syncro can. So how can an RMM alert create a ticket and then kick off a script? Love it. So this is one of my favorite pieces of the whole RMM side. And let me just pop open automated remediations. So first thing you're going to do, go to assets in RMM. And hopefully your device is much faster than mine. It's all the kids in the neighborhood that are on the internet, I think. I don't know what's going on. Actions and automated remediations. And I think this area gets lost no matter how much testing you've done. Sometimes it's the last thing that people find in here. So come in here, you can set these up. You can be really, really broad or really granular when you are setting these up. So I could just a really simple art. Maybe. Okay. Let's just go here and I can just say trigger category is, and I'm just going to say low hard drive space. This is our famous example here. From here, you can, of course, further define if you want to set this up per customer, per policy, you name it. But then I can come here, I can convert it into a ticket. You can pre-populate the fields if you would like to. You can assign it to a specific technician if a certain tech is going to be working on specific types. And then here you can run a script. Now the list here is going to pull from the ones that you have imported from the community script library or added on your own. So the whole list from the community script library will not appear here, just the ones that you have imported. And then from here you can go ahead and you can clear the alert, you can email the customer, post to Slack or Teams, whatever you would like to do. Important note here is with our scripting engine, it's super powerful. So you could have logged time. I actually think this one in the community script library logs 10 minutes of time anyways in the ticket. So read the descriptions for the, I just read it this morning, I think with Pete, but I think this one logs 10 minutes of time. So make sure you read that description, but you could use the PowerShell module to log 30 minutes of time or whatever you would like, but you set up as many of these as you would like, and it's completely set it and forget it.
Awesome. Thank you, Brandy. Comment here from Manuel. He says, can one have access to demo.syncromsp.com, for instance? We can try out things there or even train.
You'd find too many secrets.
Yeah, I was gonna say that, like, you don't want that.
I don't want it. I don't want it.
It's funny because all of us share the account, and like you guys saw today, we all are adjusting settings. And so we used to, when we just released dark mode, I love dark mode. I like it. I like it just pitch black, and I would turn it off, and then I would be in the middle of a demo, and then it's like somebody flips the switch and it's bright and it just blinds me, and I have to apologize to whoever I'm on a demo with. So it's funny because we've decided we're sticking with the light side for now. But with other things, we constantly are like, oh, this is a new pop-up. Is somebody testing this? Or we're trying to both log into the same endpoint at the same time. Or sometimes even when we've done these open office hours with you guys previously, something is getting shipped later today, and
Usually on Fridays.
Yep. And we accidentally give you a preview.
Mid open office hours. How did that get there?
But I do think it would be cool to have like a fake test environment. I think that's like the third one that I've heard this week so far. So
yeah.
We'll definitely pass it along to the team.
Yeah, it's funny. And, Justin does give a lot of advice. And he did, like I said, I think everyone can see the Q&A anyways. Setting up a 30-day trial to test something, like, it's not something that like, it kind of gets things really confused if you do that, but it's possible. Like, you could set up a test trial account. That was Justin's suggestion. Yeah, but that's interesting. And again, it's interesting that I've heard that now a couple times just this week. So, oh, and Jason, another request for the test environment. Got it. Noted. Okay. One thing I was going to do, and I haven't done this in a while. I'm going to launch this poll really quick. It's always good for us to know that folks that are attending open office hours, it's really helpful for us to know the journey. And because I think sometimes, like, if we go super deep dive, I don't want to confuse any new users, but I want to be valuable to people that have been with us for a long time. So it's good for us to just kind of like keep an idea of who's in open office hours, so that hopefully everyone gets at least something out of open office hours, and that you find it worth it to you, so you keep coming back each week, because it really is, in my opinion, the software's so intuitive. We said earlier, onboarding is not something that we offer, but open office hours is actually like a 1-hour training every week that you could attend with your team and just say, hey, this is part of ongoing training. Any questions that you have throughout the week, join open office hours and ask them. Just having it part of, one of the benefits of being a part of the Syncro team, you have that available to you. So thanks for filling this out.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I haven't seen that pop up in a long time, and it was just like, bam, right in your face. So thank you for filling that out for us, you guys. Brian says, as we add members to the team, I plan to just buy a single user account for training new users, totally worth a few bucks. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, somebody else said that they want to kind of test things in a live environment, or in a separate account before pushing things to the customers as well. So I can definitely see the benefit there. And then a question from Brian, he says, is there a way to limit what asset information is listed on the ticket detail PDF? I'll share my screen, I'll show you guys what he's talking about. So and I'll show you where to adjust the settings for this. To answer your question directly right up front, I don't think there is a way to limit exactly what the customer is able to see. So I'll show you what it looks like from the customer's perspective first, and then I'll show you where you can adjust certain settings here. We actually just created an update to the customer portal, which I'll talk about briefly as well, since our Q&A is pretty light today. So again, if you have someone who's listed as the admin on the account, this is what they're going to see, your logo here front and center. I'm sure you guys have seen this lots and lots of times, but I think what he's referring to here is within the assets section, if you click view all, there isn't a way to kind of restrict what's visible here. so that's within the customer portal, and there isn't a way to you can completely remove this asset information section. If you go over to your portal user permissions groups, and you can say assets, just make sure you have that disabled. But the update that we made to this now is you now also have a new portal user permission group called non-portal users group. So this is what they would be able to see now by default every time. If you don't want to set up your every single contact as a portal user to where they have to use a login and password, and you kind of fine tune what settings they have. If you want them to just click a link on a ticket and only have access to these certain sections here, that is now enabled by default. So I recommend taking a look at that. You can see an update. We created a video for you on exactly kind of the details of that. We just released this just the other day, but and I'm kind of rereading the ticket, and he said the other thing I think I missed here is what asset information is listed in the ticket detail PDF. So I also think that's going to be part of just whatever that tag pulls in. So I don't think there's a way to customize that at this time. And I'll just double check here real quick. Yeah, I think it's just going to pull in all the details there. So in a roundabout way, hopefully that helps.
Awesome. Thank you, Tatiana. I just see a question in here, or a feature request about adding a hyperlink to the broadcast message. So I've seen that quite a bit lately, actually, and we're happy to pass that along.
Yeah, because I that was a request for chat, and we added it to chat. So yeah, that's seems super valid. I'm just gonna end this poll, but I just kind of reviewing these numbers. A few things. I know that someone that's had a trial in the past has already asked for a reactivation of trial. If if anyone's in here that wants a reactivation of a trial, let us know. Email if you know who your rep is. Email one of us. It's just our first names at syncromsp.com. And then anyone in here that is in an active trial that has not hopped on a call with either Brandy and Tatiana, you're doing yourself a disservice. It's like, they know their stuff. It's awesome, but it really saves you so much time testing. It is such a great way to just get your answers all in one place really quickly. We know your time is valuable. So I definitely recommend, if you have not hopped on a call, please do it. As you can tell, we're not like high pressure sales team. It's like a very just low pressure, and it's a great way to kind of, like I said, save time, get your questions answered, interact with us. It'd be great.
Yes, and Pete, he just reminded me to email him a link. We had a demo this morning. I actually did email it to you. So in my follow-up email to you, there is a link for a full recorded demo. It didn't include the chat or the registry editor, but I also included the most recent What's New in Syncro webinar for you. So I always I know Tatiana and I always send those in follow-ups after emails or after demos. So I promise the content in your follow-up email is, we take everything into consideration that we chatted about on the call and send you links that should help you moving forward. So those are usually always included for you.
Yeah, I usually give you guys a heads up. I'm like, you know what? I'm sending you a huge essay of everything we talked about today. Yeah, it's not like we're trying to overwhelm you or just give you just fluff or random information you don't need. Everything that we send is something that we would wholeheartedly recommend to help you guys be successful during your trial, as well as once you become a pair.
Absolutely. I'm just going to grab this one really quick. When I add a new or rearrange issue type in the admin section, what do I have to do to have it appear on a new ticket, and can they be changed once the ticket is open? So I'm just going to hop into these settings really quick. Am I still in ticket settings? So if we're talking about issue types, all you have to do is add here. You can rearrange, you can slide them around here, and then they should show up. They should just show up in the ticket. So if they're not, then please reach out to help@syncromsp.com. So once you've done that in your ticket, when you're going to create a ticket, it should be in the drop down, and then it should also just be here, and you can always change the ticket type anytime within the ticket. So yeah, if you're having any issue or you're not experiencing what I just showed you, please reach out to technical support. All right.
Brian, real quick, the file size, I'm gonna shoot that over to you real quick.
Okay.
For all the different things.
Awesome. Thanks, Brandy. Okay, well, as always, the time flew by and it's been an hour and it's been awesome. A ton of really great questions. Once again, we appreciate you guys hanging out, coming every week. And again, like I said, I recommend it. When you go to register, just register for them all and just join us every week. Keep it some ongoing training for you and your technicians. So again, happy Friday. Have a wonderful weekend. Be safe, be healthy. All right. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.